slides visible, ma'am?
Yes, yes, it is visible. Thank you. So let's move ahead. First and foremost, we need to understand the importance of, for understanding what is intellectual property. Let us understand the significance. I would like to share that because the topic itself says that it is the basics of intellectual property rights. This session is focusing on that particular, you know, ideology of what is intellectual property. Here, with a lot of competition that is happening around us, there's a lot of inventions happening. When we say competition, it always means we are trying to be better than the other person. And with this in mind, every company, whether it's a manufacturing concern or whether it is a service provider, they always try to come up with something better than their competitors. And when they come up with something better, it means that they have invented something new, or they have come up with something that differentiates them from their other similar competitors. So, for example, we're talking about Apple iPhone, or you're talking about the new kinds of vehicles that are coming, the electrical bikes or vehicles, the four-wheelers and so on. You also have the buses now running on electricity. So this has been invented by somebody, right? So when you invent something, you have a right over that. Otherwise, people who see what you have invented will look at you and then start copying that. And your efforts, all the efforts that you have put into to come up with this invention gets wasted. So to protect this, there's an act, there's a law. And this law is what we call as the intellectual property right. That is, you have a right over your ideas. Okay, so this is basically what intellectual property right means. Moving forward, as you can see on your screen, intellect is the ability to use our mind creatively. We call a person as intelligent because that person can think out of the box. He can come up with ideas. He or she can come up with ideas which you had not thought of or I had not thought of. So we call that person as intelligent. And what is property? Property is something that we own, something that we has some value, something that can be sold, something that can bring you some revenue. This is what we call as property. So when you say what is intellectual property, it is basically an invention. It could be invention, not necessarily on a product, it could be on a service, it could also be a book that you have written, you have authored a book, that story that you have written, that is literally, or it could be a painting. So M.F. Hussain, the late M.F. Hussain, his paintings had a kind of a different distinctive feature. When you look at his painting, you'll immediately know that it belongs to M.F. Hussain. He would always draw horses, and his paintings used to sell for lakhs and lakhs of rupees. So nobody can, no, we can see that and then do the same kind of painting, but we cannot use our name because that distinctiveness in his painting is his alone. Okay, so this is artistic work or designs. It also could mean designs, could be automobile designs, like the way that electric bike design, or you say Maruti Alto's design. All these things come under designs. It could also mean buildings. Buildings are also having intellectual property rights. So if I build a building which has natural light coming in, some kind of innovative way of building, I have used, instead of using cement and mortar, I would use something else and built that building, I can always make it as a copyright. So that. Then symbols like Nike symbol, Bata symbol, Reliance symbol, that comes under symbols. Then names. Okay, you've given some identity names, like big basket, Flipkart. These are names. Okay, images. I told you symbols and images. I think you can understand. So all these put together is what we call as intellectual property. So earlier we never had this concept, say maybe some 100 years ago, people would invent something because technology also was not that high. But now with technology, we are already in Industry 5.0. What you do today here in India, in South India, or any part of India, gets easily conveyed to people across the globe in a matter of minutes. So it is easy for somebody to look at your ideas and copy that. And this is, so hence the importance for intellectual property rights. Okay, so let us move forward. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Now, what are the rights? I'm sure you've understood what intellectual property means. Now, what are the rights that you have under law for intellectual property? So, if you can look at the slide, you can see some of them which has been mentioned. One is trademarks. So, every company will have a particular trademark. Nobody has a right to use that trademark and sell their product. Similarly, patents. Patents are basically ideas that you generate which nobody else has, and you are filing for rights on that. So, I will give you, as we go forward, I'll be giving you some more examples on what patents are. So, when you look at it, you will be able to understand that. Similarly, with geographical indications. Basically, now, right, I'm from Mysore, from Karnataka, and this place in Mysore is famous for a specific kind of silk which is not available, or which cannot be made using the kind of technology that they used several years ago. To manufacture a kind of silk which is very soft. Okay, so now if someone else manufacturing single, say Kanjivaram or Banaras, they come and they see this silk and then they understand how to manufacture that, they cannot give their name at all. They will have to use the name of Mysore silk only, because it has already been registered under geographical indications. And the next is industrial designs. I told you industrial designs could mean buildings, the way it is, the plan of the building, the design of the building, that comes under property rights, IPR. Similarly, your vehicle, maybe sometimes even a chair designed in a particular way which is ergonomically suitable, you can take patent on that, and then you can, nobody can use that in their name. And if they want to use it, they will have to pay you some royalty, or it means infringement, and they can be prosecuted as well. And copyright, so it's patent. IPR does not focus only on products. It could also mean intangible things like copyrights. You have written your textbook, you would have seen that in textbooks you'll find it is copyrighted, you cannot copy. They would have mentioned a sentence there on the first page itself. So, that is copyrights. Copyrights could also mean for songs, movie songs, even a movie that comes under copyright. You cannot use the same. So somebody produces a movie somewhere in Haryana, in Punjab, and you like the story, and then you come down south, and in Tamil have the same, you shoot the same movie with different heroes and heroines and whatever, but it also amounts to infringement of copyrights. So you will have to take permission from that producer, and then maybe pay him or her royalty, and only after getting permission you will be able to produce that movie in Tamil or whichever language. Okay, and it's not only for movies; it can be for song, it can be for a dance, a particular step, style of dance. It need not be only the hip hop or whatever. It can also be for Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi. If they have come up with some new kind of, they have merged Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi and come up with a new kind of style, that also can be copyrighted. Okay, so all these things come under IPR. And please, if you have any doubts, you can please make a note of it, so that at the end of the session, I'll be able to clarify your doubts. Yeah. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Now, this slide, as you can see, I already told you what is trademark. I already told you what's a patent, and I told you what's a copyright. The reason why I put up this slide is on the left-hand corner, you can see something called India filings, right? See that this what do you say, image was not done by me. It was taken from the internet. I downloaded that from the internet. But then what I've done is I have given the source from where I have taken it. So here it does not amount to infringement because this is not my idea. So somebody has given intellectual property. They have tried to show what intellectual property is, and they have showed it in the form of an image. But this image is not created by me. Now, if I cut off that particular part, that India filings, and then I show it to you, you may not know about it. And I feel that, no, I get away, and you people think that I have, created this. But actually, the person who actually created it can prosecute me, can, file a case against me. But since I put India filings, because that is from where I have taken the source, I have given the credit saying that, see, this is what intellectual property means. It's an easy way of understanding. It was not done by me. I have collected it from a website through India filings, and I'm sharing it with you. So I hope you understand. Intellectual property is some kind of a creative idea that you have infused, and you can make money out of it. You can use it for commercial purposes, but nobody else can make use of that and without seeking your permission. And if they are using it, they have to see. Now this is for educational purposes, so I need not ask them. On the other hand, I can always use their sources and tell them it was for educational purposes. I see somebody called Jennifer who has raised a hand. Is there anything? Hello? Jennifer, you have raised your hands. Is there something you want to tell me?
No, ma'am, it will be by mistake, ma'am. You can continue, ma'am.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
It may be by mistake, ma'am.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, if there's anything, please let me know. Okay, fine. So I hope this is clear. You understand why, in what way you can make use of something done by someone else. Okay, you need to give them the credit of it. So this is what I have done here. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Now, when you're talking about significance of IPR, we have some other things. If you look at this slide again, infringement. Infringement means you're making use of somebody else's idea or your copyrights, or maybe their song, maybe their movie, their product, whatever. If you do it without their permission, it is called as infringement. And this infringement can, lead to criminal offense. It's a criminal offense, and it can lead to punishment as well. Counterfeit. Counterfeit is you see something like that, but then you make a duplicate out of it and try to pass it out as the original. This is called as counterfeit. Again, see now, I happen to see someone selling Bata slippers on the streets, okay, on the road. And I felt a little curious because Bata never sells its products on the streets. It is always in a showroom. I just went closer. I just picked up. It was all men's slippers, sandals. And when I looked carefully, instead of writing BATA Bata, it was written as Boto, BOTO. But the way it was written it looked very much similar to the way Bata is written. I'm sure all of you would have seen the image of the logo of Bata, BATA, right? It's in italics. But this was written as Boto, and only when you look carefully, you can understand this. Now, this is counterfeit. That is, you're passing off an original, a duplicate as an original. So that by using that symbol, so that is also infringement. Then the trademark registrations, you need to register your trademark, and once it is registered, nobody else can use it. Similarly, with your patent, when you come up, in one of the further slides, I'll be showing you how you can file your patent. Okay, licensing. Once you get your patent or you register your trademark, you have a license over your ideas, your inventions, and nobody else can use it. And if they are using it, they'll have to take your permission before doing it. GI is geographical indications. That is that happened recently because America wanted to use turmeric that is used extensively in India for all our dishes, and for even when we have wounds, we use it as an antiseptic. So they wanted to use it as their, they wanted to file, once they got to know the significance of turmeric, they wanted to make use of it. But India had to fight, and then they realized that there are many things that we need to have geographical indications for, and that is how we got it. So I have a slide on that also, so that when you look at the slides, probably it will be easier for you to understand. And then plant varieties, that is also coming under IPR. A person, a farmer, or maybe a scientist can come up with a new plant variety which gives in new kind of seeds, which has more vitamins and minerals or whatever. Or it could be grafting two different plants and coming up with a new kind of a plant variety, maybe for flowers, or maybe for grains, or maybe for fruits or whatever. That also comes under IPR. Okay, so can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. See, these are the examples for geographical indications. You can see an elephant, rosewood inlay work. This is Indian, geographical indication. Similarly, for basmati rice, Pakistan was, actually tried to fight for that, for basmati rice, but then it has been proved that basmati rice originated, or India has the rights, the geographical indicators for basmati. Similarly, I told you about Mysore silk, and then you have Mysore sandalwood oil. It's not that you don't get sandalwood oil elsewhere, but this distinct kind of oil comes only from this place. That is what we mean. Okay, you have orange from Coorg, which is also a small district in Karnataka state, but you also have oranges in Florida. So the Florida oranges have a different distinct variety. Now, supposing I bring that and bring it here in India, and I cultivate it and I sell it as Indian oranges, I cannot do it. Okay. Similarly, Swiss watches, then Alfonso mangoes, many of this, as you can see. So these are all geographical indications. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, again, I've just put in this image because I felt we are talking about the basics of intellectual property. So I'm trying to ensure that the foundation is strong and you're able to understand that. So see, from different places, see from Gujarat, they have taken something, and from Mysore, you have the Mysore silk or the inlay work. You see the pot there. It is the inlay is made earlier. It used to be made using silver, but now I think they're using some other metal. You still have it silver, but it is very expensive. But the whole thing is black, and you have the silver inlay work on that. But this is an indication of as a geographical indication from Karnataka. Then you have some handicraft from the kind of kota work that is done in Rajasthan. Then you have from Madhya Pradesh, you have kind of shawl, a kind of shawl which is distinct in that particular place. You have Kashmiri handicrafts, which again is distinct. So what it means is now you can look into that kind of art, and you can start making it here somewhere in South India. But you cannot call it in your own name. You have to give the reference to this particular state. You cannot. That's the meaning. Okay. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, these are examples of trademarks and patents. Okay, so you've seen Yahoo, Adidas, BBC, and then Nike, then Shell, CNN, Walmart, Coca-Cola, FedEx, Google, Mobile, Puma, Pepsi, McDonald's. See, these are all trademarks. You cannot, and they are well-known trademarks. So if I want to sell a product, say supposing I start a food joint and I want to sell it in the lines of McDonald's, I put it as Miso Donald or something like that. I can't do that because these are trademarks which are already been registered. And if I do it, if I try to, it is considered fraudulent if I try to change the mind of the people and try to show it is following or a part of making people believe that it is McDonald's, but then actually it is something else. I cannot use a design whatsoever. Okay. And patents, when you have a patent, you will get a certificate, you will get a number of your patent, which will say whether it is patented or whether it is pending patents. Again, that I have a slide specifically for patents, which I'll be, explaining in a little while. And Google has copyright free images. So the images which I have chosen are all copyright free images. I took one to show you how I have given what do you say, acknowledge the source, the one which I showed you earlier. So otherwise, I've taken, you have, photos which are copyright free and which have copyrights. So when you are downloading, you have to be careful about that. You'll have to check for that and understand before you download. You cannot easily do it. And if you're doing it, you have to give a source. That is from where you've collected, who had actually taken it, and you're using it for this particular purpose. Okay. Can we go to the next slide? This is how patents filing happens. In brief, you need to be aware of how it goes. You can go about and hence filing a patent. Now you have an idea. So what they usually say is, when you have an idea, you don't go around telling everybody, because somebody else takes that idea and they file the patent first. You cannot go fight. Okay, the patent office will consider those who have first in, first serve, that type. So if you have come up with an idea, you have to go and file a patent. Somebody else copies it and gives it before you, they will get the patent. Okay, so usually you have an idea. Then what you do is, then you go search and find out if anybody else has the same kind of idea, if it has already been done. I'll give you one example that happened in my institution. We were talking about the projects for students when a few students, couple of them, came up with an idea saying that they have a water bottle, a flask which has both, which can contain both cold and hot water at the same time. And we all were happy about that, and we encouraged them to go ahead. But after some time, we realized, when we went to do that patent search, we found that there were already such water bottles or flask available in the market. It was already there. Okay, so then how do you go about it? So the next, either you leave that idea or you come up with something that is better than what is already there. So then you're coming up with some new ideas over that. So that is what they did. So you have an idea, then you do a patent search, and then you build a prototype. A prototype is a sample of what you would like to do. Okay, if it's a product, if it's a car that you want to build, then you come up with a prototype, a small. There are people who will do that. Maybe you cannot do it, but there are people who will do that. So you have, how do you say, a sample of that car, the kind of design that you want to have, or maybe you want to come up with a washing machine or a ceiling fan, something, you come up with a new kind of thing. So that you have to build a prototype, and then you file for a provisional patent. Okay, the provisional patent, because the moment you go file for a patent, you register for a patent, you will not get it approved immediately, because the authorities will have to check and find out whether you stole it, because that can also happen. Somebody can steal your ideas and then show it as their own. So they have to check and see whether it has been stolen, whether it is your own, or whether anybody else. See, now as a teacher, my student would have come up with a good idea, and I'll tell him, no, this is useless. It is fit for nothing. Nobody is going to accept this, and then send them off, and then later use that in my name. I can do that, right? as a teacher, we can make it look like that. I don't say that teachers will do that, but I'm just giving an example. This can happen. It can even happen in a company. The boss can, when employee comes with an idea, the boss can say that the idea is bad and then make use of that idea for his own benefit. Right? So the patent office, what they'll do is they'll check to see whether all these things are there or not, whether it has been there, it is there. Now, supposing I go to file a patent, they'll see whether if I've stolen it, whether somebody else's idea I have stolen it, I have put it there, or whether it is my own. So for this, what they will do is they will publish this for a month or so, and they'll see whether there are any people who are responding to it. If there's nobody responding to it, it means that there is no one to oppose it, and then it gets filed. So what you can do is, once it is done, you can either start production of that product or service, or you can sell that to investors. You have angel investors, either angel investors or to a regular company. You can go and tell them, I have an idea like this, but I do not have the provision to manufacture this. So if you can manufacture this, the profit can be shared equitably or whatever. Okay, because you're giving the idea and they are giving you the resources, and based on which you are making some commercial benefits. So this is it. This is how it goes. Okay, this is just to give you an idea of how you can file a patent and how you can go about it. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Now these are examples of industrial designs. It could be on your laptop. It need not, sometimes prototype, yes, but even if you have design, because now we have so much of technology driven equipments with us that you can bring in. You've heard of 3D printers also. So I read recently that in Oman, I guess, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong, they have a printer, a 3D printer, metal printer, which can print out um, equipments. Like maybe a huge aeroplane requires a small bolt or something like that, nut or a bolt. Getting it from the place of manufacture might be very expensive, because just to get that specific kind of nut and bolt might be difficult. So if you have a 3D printer, metal printer that can print out that uh, metal nut or bolt or whatever, and that can be used. So they are making use of it. You have different types of 3D printers for that matter. So you have, that is an industrial design, and you can also see a car there. So the design of the car, that is also an industrial design. I have also put one more down there. That's a building. So if somebody has, this is just an example. So if you have come up with a building like this, an architect has come up, a civil engineers come up with this, nobody else can. If I feel, oh, this looks very nice, so I too would like to build my house like this or my office like this, I will have to take a copyright from them. I cannot do it like that. Okay. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. See, these are all copyrightable work. This music, if you copy a tune, even lyric, that is copyrighted. You can be prosecuted. Other than music, it could be even web design. It could be your movie. It could be your sound recording. It could be some kind of a literary work. Maybe you've written a story, or you've written a novel. You've written a textbook. That one. Then it could be even a dramatic play. It could be your computer coding, even that, a choreography, dance choreography, that one, a blog, pictures, photos that you take. We usually use that and very happily click it and use it as our screen saver or something like that. All these things come under copyrightable. Similarly, when it can like you can see this artistic work of Walt Disney, you cannot, it is copyrighted, so you cannot use that and say that it is see, you have Tom and Jerry, so I give Tom a different color and then make him look a little different, maybe a little more fat or a little more thinner. That is copyrighted and I cannot use it. And if I am using it, I have to give the credit to the Walt Disney company and that will not come to me. I'll need to take permission. So on with music as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Now here there's an interesting thing which I am showing you. In 2015, we had a movie, a Hindi movie called Bajirao Mastani. This was released and did quite well, I guess, in the box office. But in 2021, a Chinese producer came up with this kind of a story, not similar, but the story had one scene of this from taken from Bajirao Mastani. It had the same scenes, like every shot to shot, frame to frame they call it. So frame to frame, it had the same scene which was taken from this Bajirao Mastani movie, and that was adapted in the Chinese movie. So there was a lot of talk about it. In fact, so this is infringement of copyright. Now, supposing if that producer had spoken to this producer here in India and taken his permission, maybe by sometimes you can give it free or sometimes you charge, whatever. It depends on the owner of the copyright. So then it is not copyrighted. You've given permission. But in such a case, here what happened was there was a lot of critical, comments, because some people were saying this is very wrong. How can foreign producer copy, director copy same frame to frame and then put it as without giving us the credit? Whereas there were some others who said that when India copies something from Hollywood or from a foreign movie, we consider it as a creative homage or a foreign film or something like that. Please don't disturb. We call that in that way. But whereas when you look at foreigners copying from the Indian movie, we immediately say that it is wrong. So these were critical discussions that were happening at that time. But let's put that across, set it aside. And I just wanted to tell you that there is a how copyright can be seen. So even for movies, you can have it. Can we go to the next scene, next slide, please? Okay, these are the types of intellectual property rights. So I think you have understood most of it. One is patent. That's a right, because you've come up with an idea. It could be for a product or it could be for a service. Similarly, copyright. This is for something that is written. Your story, your song, your music, maybe even cooking recipes, even that also comes under copyrights. Okay, your trademark. I told you about Nike, I told you about Bata, Reliance, Big Basket, Flipkart, they have trademarks. Designs, your mobile handset design. It could be the ceiling fan, design of a ceiling fan, an automobile, so on. It could be database, okay, the way in which you have collected the data. Your trade secrets. Trade secrets is one of them is perfumes is a trade secret. Another trade secret is cooking recipes. That's a trade secret. And maybe your the way you put forth a certain music or a dance form which you are not sharing. This is a trade secret. And another one is plant breeders' right. That is, I said how plants, you can graft plants and come up with a new type of breed, something that is also coming under intellectual property rights. These are all types of intellectual property rights. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. See this, I took a screenshot, but I took the wrong screenshot. The website is correct. This is the IPR. I would like you to just go visit this website. This is ipindia.gov.in. So they always come up because they know that this concept of IPR is not very much, understood by many people. And you come up with an idea, somebody steals your idea and they do it. So they're trying to give it. I just remembered one small incident. In a small town in Karnataka, one person came up with a way of plowing his field using a old bicycle without using a bullock. He came up with that. And his neighbors, the farmers who were close by, they saw that and then they copied him and then they did it. Now this poor farmer, he never knew that he had every right to go and file a patent for that. Probably he would have become one of very rich man now, but because of his ignorance, he allowed his friends to copy, and now this has become so common that everybody is using. So now India is becoming more and more, not only India, throughout the world, the importance of IPR is, the awareness is increasing. So if you go to IP India, so they also have an awareness program. They keep conducting a lot of awareness programs on IPR. You can just visit that. Maybe it will help you learn more. This screenshot which I took is, it was sliding and then I was a little busy. I'm so extremely sorry about that. But this is one of it. And then you can also take up these patent agent exams. That is also there. It's not wrong as such. These are there on the online portal. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. This is what I was just saying. So this is from this was way back in almost 9 years now, that India started putting a lot of efforts. And right now we have been able to come up with a lot of geographical indications, identifying Indian, at that time, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman was the industry minister. Later on, she became the finance minister. But at that time, a lot of efforts were being put, and now there's a lot of changes that India has implemented towards IPR. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, these are trade secrets. I'm just giving examples for all that I showed you earlier, whatever I discussed earlier on the types of IPRs, intellectual property rights. So trade secrets, these are all trade secrets that you can see here. Some of the examples that I've been forth. One is Coca-Cola. The the mixture or the concoction that they make is a trade secret. They say it has been kept aside somewhere in some safe vault, not accessible to everybody except two people. Mixture for Coca-Cola. Similarly, Kentucky Fried Chicken also has a trade secret for their recipe. Listerine, that carries a trade secret. WD-40. WD-40 actually came up for one particular um, uh, purpose, but then they found out that it had so many uses, about 40 uses, and actually they said that they made it nearly 40 times. They kept trying to use it for a particular thing, but then later they came to know that it can be used for 40 purposes, so they kept the name as Design 40 and WD-40. Then Krispy Kreme donuts, then McDonald's Big Mac special sauce, and then Google search algorithm. See, when you Google platform and the search engine, and then you type in something, it immediately searches and gives you answers to that particular question that you asked. Okay, so that Google search algorithm is also in trade secret. Can we go to the next slide, please? I'm doing something. Yeah, next is the plant breeders, right? See here, as I told you, plant breeders, either they come up with new kind of seeds or out kind of plant by grafting or something like that. That comes under the. So you can register these varieties under a particular authority, that is PV and FR authority, and you can claim ownership from them. So these researchers or even farmers, it's not just the scientists. Many times farmers come up with a lot of varieties, plant varieties, fruit varieties, flower varieties. Okay, all this can come under, that can be protected under the protection of plant varieties and farmers' rights, which is called as the PPV and FR authority. That also comes under the Act, IPR. Can we go to the next one, please? Yeah. Now, these are things that you need to keep in mind. If somebody has taken a photograph, you cannot upload the same without asking their permission. It means infringement of copyright. So, as because if somebody has mentioned it and they've not done anything, see, first of all, you're not supposed to take a photograph of anybody without their permission. You cannot record without their permission. That also goes as infringement of their rights. You have personal rights which cannot be infringed. No, and if somebody has uploaded a photo, you cannot make use of it. But since we do not know our rights, we do not fight for it. It's as simple as that. Okay, and then author. Yeah, this is one thing that you need. I wish to share. Now, supposing I have written a book, okay, and that will extend to 50 years after I die. Now, if my children are there, they can inherit it like a property. So I'll be getting copyrights on that as long as it's being published, first edition, second edition. I keep getting my royalty. So after my death, that will go to my heir, maybe my son or my daughter, whoever I've given, inherited, or I've given a will, they get it. Supposing I don't have children, in such a case, I can donate it to, just like a property, I can donate it to somebody. That can be done. And as teachers, as students, we usually do one thing: we take textbooks and we photocopy those, and then we keep those textbooks, right? So again, that is also an infringement. For educational purposes, that is fine. But you cannot use the whole thing. Maybe you used a part of it for education purposes, and you should mention that it has been taken from, Ram Swami, the marketing management, and we are using it for that particular purpose. Otherwise, it means infringement. And for a patent to be granted, it must be new. It's something not. It should not be something which is already there. You will not get a patent for that. It should be new. It should not be, and it should be something not out of the blue. Something which is not fictitious. It should be something which can be manufactured, which can be, put into practice or something like that. Okay. So these are some important points which I thought I need to share with you. Can we go to the next point, please? Okay, yeah, this slide, the print, when I converted it into a PDF, there's a problem. The heading is Benefits of Intellectual Property Rights, IPR. Okay, that got merged, the first slide. So what are the benefits of, this slide is talking about what are the benefits of getting your rights on this intellectual property. One is, because it's an innovative idea, it is your intellectual right, and what it means is you can earn profit out of it, because nobody else. If you do not register your idea, someone else can come up with that idea somewhere else. It's not necessary that they have to see you. Somebody else will come up with that idea. See, now when we're talking about aeroplanes, they say that in India also they had come up with this idea of aeroplanes long back before the Wright brothers. But that time we did not have IPR. If we had IPR, we would have proved and said we have done it first, right? But it was not that the people from India and the Wright brothers knew each other. No, at that time we did not have that much of technology. So the Wright brothers did it somewhere there in Europe, and in India we did it somewhere in Mumbai. That time it was Bombay. Okay, it was done there, but it was seen and it was forgotten. But if you have a awareness, you can seek that right, and then once you earn that right, you can make use of it too. So if anybody across the globe, they want to file for a particular right, they will immediately know that this idea has already been taken somewhere in India, somewhere in China, somewhere in Japan, somewhere in Korea, wherever. Okay, so it's an innovative idea which can help you to earn something. Secondly, it can also help in export business opportunities. How? When you manufacture something, you can say it's an innovative thing. There will be people outside who will be ready to buy that. It also helps people. Thirdly, it also helps people to come up with ideas, because otherwise I'll feel I come up with the idea, somebody else will come and steal it. So why should I do it? But here, when I know that I can secure it and I can get recognition for it, then I will come up. Everybody gets encouraged and motivated to come up with new ideas. Okay, so this is one. The next one is business growth, of course, and then it also helps to promote talent. Nowadays, we find a lot of new ideas coming from youth, not the elderly people, not the experienced people. Most of the ideas are coming from youth, and these are all implementable. I think many of us would have seen that on television, in the news channels. They come up sometimes. They come and show us some youngsters coming up with some very innovative way in which some things can be done. So when they know that it can be, the right is given to them, it encourages them to come up with more. It encourages others also to come forward with their ideas and share. See, they say that in India, there were a lot of rishis, physicians, people with a high intellect who had so much of knowledge, but they did not share their knowledge with the people around them because they felt it can be misused. So what they did was they used to, it died along with them. I think all of you must be knowing that, right? So these kind of things, if we had these kind of benefits of intellectual property, that will, help us. Just a minute, please. Sorry. These are the benefits of intellectual property. And if in case you have ideas, you can always come up, you can always think about it, you can always register that, and um, you know earn some money, or be productive in some way. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, these are all characters from Walt Disney, and all of them are copyrighted. We cannot use any one of them. Even if you are using it, it will be. So this is not drawn by Walt Disney. This has been drawn by someone else. But the credit will always go to Walt Disney and not to anyone else, because these are copyrighted. The next slide, please. This is a brief history of intellectual property rights. It first started in Italy, basically on food recipes. So I don't call it as property rights in India, but that was how the idea came. Came up with this idea for this particular dish, pasta, and then it was somewhere in the 7th century, and nobody else could use that. It was like that. And then in Venice in 1474, so many hundreds of years ago, the first law on patent came up in Venice. And at that time, Greece, Venice, these are all considered to be places of, highly civilized world, right? And then came the act of proprietorship. Proprietorship was how you run your business. You have studied about F.W. Taylor, and many of the people who were running specific businesses with specific principles and policies. So at that time, that kind of proprietorship came into act of proprietorship came into existence. And then in India, it was somewhere in 1856 where we had act of protection of inventions, but it never did very well, because many people, even now, many people, as I told you, are not aware, and that's the reason why the Indian the IP. I gave you the website. See, there they're trying to promote IPR. We have courses on IPR. It is part of the syllabus in many of the courses, especially in commerce. You have it as part of the course where you're studying about IPR. So at that time we did not have much, but then that was one. It started with the teak wood, and some of the art and inlay works. It started in India that way. And then in 1948, we had the trademark protection. I guess by now you understand what is trademarks. Right? So that protection, so that nobody copies that and then gives it away. Then we have the Indian Copyright Act in 1957 for movies and stories and music and so on. Again, at that time it was not very prevalent, because if you go to old songs and movies, and if you can just follow up on that, you find that a song that is in Hindi is also there in Tamil, it is also there in Bangla. The same music, but different directors. It was not taken very seriously at that time. Then you have the Indian Trade and Merchandise Marks Act, and then in 1970, the Indian Patent Act came into existence. Because all these things have changed over the years, and now we have come up with something much more quite strong and something being implemented in a very positive sense. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Another thing is you cannot misuse an IPR. You cannot see something which somebody is already doing. You cannot say that I created it, so you have to follow. So here, this is a small cartoon to just tell you that just because I have a IPR, I cannot misuse it. I cannot take money for that. What do you say? Take money in the sense you have a right. You can only go only up to the jurisdiction of your right. You cannot go beyond that. That is the meaning. So you cannot misuse whatever rights you have. And can we go to the next? Yeah. Now, any breach, we are talking about crimes. So I've already repeated, already said this. This is just a repetition. So if it's, I told you it could be, I go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, I eat that, and then I understand what they have made, or maybe the cook gives me some ideas, and I come up with something similar like that, and then I try selling it in the same way. And if they get to know about it, they can prosecute me. It's a crime to do something similar. You can come up with something over and above. So that doesn't mean that if I have an idea, I just somebody sees that they cannot do anything. There are particular number of years till when I can make use of it. Now, supposing I come up with a idea of a pen. Okay, so the pen is having certain features which is very convenient for me to write for long hours. Let us say it is like that. Okay, the flow of the pen and ink, and it makes you write very well. Now I filed for a patent for this. Now, based on the kind of product, I get it for a particular number of years. This is for a product I'm saying. Okay, commercial. I'm talking about that. So now I'm using it. So the government or the authorities, not the government. It's a government part of the government, but then the IPR authorities, they will look into it and they'll say, okay, this is a pen which can, I need to have rights on this for maybe 6 months or maybe a year. So this means that even if, let us say, Renault's pen, they see this pen and, oh, this is what she did. It's very easy. We can also do it. They cannot do it at all. They have to wait for 1 year. So for 1 year, I can manufacture 1 year or 6 months, depending on the product. Okay, it's not fixed. So depending on the product. So now, if I've been given rights for 6 months, then for 6 months nobody can come and manufacture this. Though they understand how I manufactured, what's the idea behind it, what is how it has come. Though they know that, they cannot do anything. The thing is, I have been given the privilege of making money commercially for 1 year. Nobody can manufacture this in the market, or 6 months, whatever. And after that 6 months, then Reynolds or Nataraja pen, whoever, they can come up with the same kind of pen and sell it in the market. But for that 6 months, I'm making use of it, because it is my efforts. It is a lot of trial and error. I would have spent a lot of time, money, efforts on this, and then I've come up with a pen and I've filed a copyright. So for that particular time, so it won't be for 10 years. And this is a small thing. So maybe for 6 months or something like that. Now JK Tires has come up with a tire which is self-healing tires. I think you would have seen it on television. So these tires, they claim that I haven't seen it. I've just read about it, and just I've not experienced it. What it says is, supposing usually what happens to tires, when if it is a tire with the it has a no, I'm not talking about tubeless tires. Tire with a tube. So these tire with a tube, the moment there's a nail, immediately there's a puncture. Where if it is a tubeless tire, at least you can drive for some time, right? So it is better than the tire with a tube. And this self-healing tire, if it goes on a nail or something like that, it heals itself. It seems it heals itself. So you do not have to, it uh, get a tire to be, repaired and then changed. You don't have to worry about it. Now this tire is not being manufactured by anyone because they have copyrighted it. They have a patent for it. So for that many years, nobody can manufacture. Of course, now when MRF sees that, or any other tire company sees, they will understand what is the. I may not know, you may not know, but the tire company will immediately know what technology they have used, but they cannot bring it in the market because it is already copyrighted. Okay, they have already filed a patent for it. But if now supposing MRF wants to come up with that, or TVS tires want to come up with that, they have to go to JK tires and take permission from them, and then tell them, see, we would like to manufacture this and put it in the market. So if JK tires feels okay, they'll say, okay, we'll give you a license, and then they'll have to pay some royalty, and then they do it. Or if JK tires says no, they are not giving anybody, we want to capture the market for 1 year and only then we'll do it, then the others have to wait for 1 year or 2 years, whatever, and then only allow them to use it. I think I'm clear with this. Okay, so this is, otherwise it become, if MRF says no, let them go to hell and we'll go ahead with our manufacture and we'll put it in a different way, it becomes a crime, a criminal offense. Similarly with artwork, copyrights is for artwork, for music, for um, anything that is intangible. Property, industrial property is something that is tangible. So that's it. Can we go to the next slide, please? So now what we understand is, it's just like summing up. There are 4 types of intellectual property. One is trade secrets. Like I told you about Kentucky's fried chicken, or Mysore silk, the kind of silk that has been done. That is a trade secret. Trademarks, what are trademarks? I told you about Flipkart, Amazon. All these are trademarks. Copyrights, that is movies. I told you about that Bajirao Mastani, that is all copyrights. Okay, or music, it could be music, Ilaiyaraaja's music or A.R. Rahman's music, all that is copyrights. And next is patent. Patent is something that you come up with an idea, which can be an improvisation over a product or a new product itself or a service, whatever. Okay, so this is it. Can we go to the next slide? These are the references that I have taken from to come up with all these information that I've shared with you. And yes, so I end this. I thank IoT for giving me yet another chance of giving me this opportunity to meet new people, and also enhance my knowledge as well, because each time I come up with, I'm asked to come up with something, I'm able to find, something new which I'm able to share with all my fellow colleagues and all the delegates here. Once again, I thank IoT and all of you for being patient here listening. Any questions, please? I'm open for discussion.